On Sunday, like.
Oh yeah, my little. These are my stand-ins because I don't use my real ones. My real ones.
Yeah, but at least a little bit of a chill situation. It's always nice.
You just sit like,
No,
I said I'm
the
like,
hardest because there's so much.
I'm all close to like,
It's like fall. And
Yeah.
my book comes out November 1st. So I'm like, now I gotta go to a bookstore.
Do you know where you're going yet for the tour?
Just a few cities.
Okay. Okay.
So nothing.
But still, that's November, you know? Oh. Guys, we're ready! Yay! So we're live streaming if you guys didn't catch
Like
that.
right now?
So that was what
That's
was
exciting.
happening. Anyway, I just want to welcome everyone here. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Nikki Ogunaki, and I'm the Fashion Features Director here at ELLE.com. And as you can see, we're partnering with YouTube for a wonderful panel to discuss diversity and inclusivity in the fashion industry during New York Fashion Week. We've had a ton of conversations about this. It's obviously a huge topic that is important, and especially important to ELLE.com. Progress has been made, that's undeniable. Last February's New York Fashion Week was the first one in which a runway show included at least one model of color. So that was a small stride that was made, but more can always be done. And that is why we're here today. We are bringing together this illustrious group of people, a fantastic panel of people who are ready to have an open conversation and dialogue and challenge what diversity and inclusivity looks like in the industry. So before I go on to introduce everyone, I want to thank YouTube for partnering with us on this incredibly important initiative. And thank you to everyone who is watching live on Elle Magazine's YouTube channel right now. Thanks, guys. Don't forget, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Subscribe for more exciting conversations like this Fashion for All conversation and our 2-week program that we're going to be working on and rolling out content over the next 2 weeks. So let's get to these panelists. We have first Christian Siriano. Give him a round of applause. Christian is an acclaimed fashion designer and CFDA member. He's dressed women of all shapes and sizes on his runways and the red carpet. Thank you, Christian. Next up, we have Keke Palmer, the wonderful Keke Palmer. She is a singer, actress, social influencer, YouTuber, and author of, let me get this right, author of I Don't Belong to You, Quiet the Noise and Find Your Voice. Next up, we have Candice Huffine. So fine, Huffine. She is.
I was just clapping for that. I like that.
That was good. Candice is a body diversity advocate and celebrated plus-size model. She's appeared on the cover of ELLE. She's appeared on the cover of ELLE. I'll say it again. She's walked the runway for the likes of Christian Siriano and Prabal Gurung, worked with world-renowned photographers like Steven Meisel and Martin Marcus, and is launching her own athleisure line. Oh. Gonna have to get some of that. Thank you.
Surprise there.
I know, I was like, next up we have Precious Lee. Yay, the wonderful Precious Lee. Come through.
Looking glamorous.
Precious is also a body diversity advocate and celebrated plus-size model. She appeared in the viral campaigns for Lane Bryant, including hashtag I'm no angel and hashtag plus is equal. When her ad was included in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, she became the first Black plus-size model to ever appear in the swimsuit edition. Major. Next up, we have Andreja Pejić. There we go, Andreja Pejić. Let me get that right. Andrea is an internationally renowned model and transgender activist. She's appeared on countless covers across the world, walked for Marc Jacobs, Jean-Paul Gaultier, and Prabal Gurung, and appeared in campaigns for brands like Kenneth Cole. She's currently filming a documentary about her life And we should also mention that she's the first transgender woman to land a cosmetics contract. Last but not least, we have Alencia Johnson. Alencia is the Director of Constituency Communications at Planned Parenthood, where she collaborates with communities of all ages, sexual identities, faiths, ethnicities, and more. This year, she worked with the CFDA on the Fashion Stands with Planned Parenthood campaign. Guys. I am so excited. This panel is stacked with so many great people. I cannot wait for this conversation. Candice, you're up.
Just to hear?
Candice,
Okay.
I'm coming to you first.
Okay.
How do you think we did this week? How'd the fashion industry do? We're almost done. Today's the last day.
Give me your real answer.
How'd we do?
Not as great as I thought we could.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to take it down a level, but February was a high of all highs, and I was so confident that it would just be more is more is more. I've been waiting. I waited for February for my whole career, for 17 years, and I was patient and positive that that day would come, and it did. And look, and so that was validation for me, and I was like, you know what? Big changes take time, and I'm willing to wait because I know the future that I see, and I'm optimistic, and I know that we will get there together. February, boom, did it, and I was like, here we go, finally. And I feel like, I think I expected a little bit more, you know? I kept saying right after that, I was like, wow, there's no way backwards from here. Like, this is the future. Look how excited everyone was. Look at the positivity around it. How could you ever then remove that? And I just thought that we would be like kind of wowed in so many places, like, and then they did, and then they did, and then they did. And I don't think we got there in a way that maybe I had dreamt up in my mind.
Yeah.
Was it incredible? Absolutely. It was. I'm super happy and proud of me and us and all that we accomplished. I just think that I dream very big. And so I have a lot of expectations, and I can't say that all of them got met, if I'm going to be quite honest and ditch my pageant queen mentality.
We are here
of
for
that,
a real
like,
conversation.
everything is amazing.
Yeah.
And it is, and we have done so much, and we've made such great progress. I just thought from February to now would have been like doors blown off, ceiling blown off, sky's the limit, whatever, and takes more time.
Yeah.
And we'll get there, and the conversation helps.
Starts here.
Yes.
If you were a casting director, though, what would your ideal show look like?
Well,
My
it
show.
would look like Christian show.
Christian's
Exactly.
show.
I mean,
Yeah.
That
it
was
would not
really
be
like-
dissimilar than Christian show. I think that in a conversation of diversity, and I always try to sort of take the focus away on like me and my size, because when I talk about diversity, people often think that I'm just talking about like, oh, you need to have plus size women everywhere. No, it's more than that. It's heights, ages, races, abilities, religions, sizes. It's everything. The world is made up of that. And I think that runways should showcase that and represent that. I think about it often, and I go back to like so randomly this line from The Devil Wears Prada, where she's like, she has that monologue where she's explaining about the blue sweater and how like there are so many people who choose this sweater, and there's mega players in the room that put all this thought into it, and the reason why you should be wearing it now, and then by the time it trickles down the line and she wears it, they've chosen it for her. This is what she should love. This is what she should feel beautiful in. But a runway does that. We dictate what people think is beautiful or find beautiful. And if we all think that everyone is beautiful and everyone represents beauty and all their differences and uniqueness, then why aren't the runways dictating that? It's like fashion has such a responsibility to sort of emulate the present and the future to come. And I think that where we, make great strides in fashion, media, catalog, advertisement, commercial, the runway sort of was the last of the chopping block, and so now I'm really putting some pressure on that because there's a lot of eyes on that, and I think that's really where the big aha moment comes. Like when everybody commits on that level, it's a bit like, well, then there you go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Christian, why is it so easy for you, but so hard for others?
I don't know. No, that's like I get that question every single day. I don't know. I've never really figured it out. I think, it's such a, I don't know. I guess it's just for us in my office when we're working on a collection, my team, like the people that, are putting a collection together, we just don't think about it we just don't think about it that way. I don't think about, we're not out searching for it. I just am like, I think it's really important. I'm like, we need to change it up. We're noticing our customers is very different. She's shopping all over the world, different countries. She's all different sizes, ages. And then I realized I was like, maybe she doesn't want to buy things anymore because she can't envision herself in it. And that's really what we changed. I just was like, it's like, wow, some of our number one customers that shop with us are over a size 10. And I was like, well, maybe if we showed that on the runway or in a collection or in a campaign, they would feel more excited to shop. At the end of the day, we're designers. We're here to sell clothes. That's what the job is. And I think that just triggered something. And I think that not only that they appreciate it, that they can envision themselves. So that really was what it was in the beginning. And now I think it's turned into that I like to show that that it isn't hard. Like, it's not hard because I don't know, at least for me, I think every woman up here, everyone in this room, like everyone is beautiful in their own different way. I mean, that's like fashion. It's like everything is subjective to what you're seeing. So me as a designer, I like girls that are, powerful and strong and tall, but all different colors. Like, I like that. That's what I think is beautiful. So that's what we show.
Yeah. Keke, you were nodding your head.
Oh, I was just agreeing with everything that they both were saying. It really is true. I mean, fashion, what people think is good is all subjective to what they see in terms of these are the people that say this is awesome. So if we make an effort to make sure everybody's a part of that, of course, people are going to feel that way. Because, honestly, body issues, imaging, all that type of stuff comes down to what you see in the magazines and what you see on the runway. And if nobody up there looks like you at a certain point, no matter how confident you are, you're going to say, well, damn, am I beautiful? Or, do I fit in this world?
Yeah. Yeah. Keke, do you have these conversations as an actress often with your friends, like on set, and do you discuss representation as well in those spaces?
Yeah, we totally talk about it. And most of the time, I think a millennial's way of discussing those things are through jokes. You know what I mean? I definitely do that a lot of times with my friends where we're just talking about it, and I think laughter and trying to poke fun of it and then creating things on top of that is the best way I can deal with it and the best way my friends and I can deal with it. Otherwise, we'll be sitting down saying, woe is me, rocking back and forth. So instead, we talk about it, we make acknowledgments like, okay, did you see so-and-so, so-and-so? Exactly, but so-and-so, so-and-so, and then we move forward and we create, a skit or we create a joke. Or I remember a girlfriend of mine, she's lighter complected, she's half white, and I'm full black, and I'm darker complected. And we're talking about how when we go into a room with these casting directors, and they literally say stuff like, to me, where it's like, okay, your character, she's black, but she's from a rich family, okay? It's different. Her dad's around, and her mom loves her. It's like,
stop
what
it.
The hell?
That did not happen.
No, but that's why I said we're over-dramatizing. and that turns into a skit.
Yeah.
But it turns into a skit that also informs people that that's ignorant to say.
Yeah.
That's not cool. That's not the real imaging. I know plenty of black families that have mothers and fathers that love the kids. Just like other culture families that have broken homes or whatever you assume to be a broken home. So for me, I try to turn it into something that can inform people, but also entertain them at the same time and make them have that light bulb where it's like, okay, yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Andrea, I feel like you wanted to hop in.
Well, obviously, if I'm talking specifically about, the trans thing, I feel like a lot of the bookings that come my way, and I think to a lot of the girls, it's like, it kind of feels like a charity donation a little bit. It's like kind of like, oh, well, let's bring this trans person in. It'll make us look really progressive. You know what I mean?
Check the box.
And it's that. And I feel that to be excluded just because you're trans is the worst thing in the world. It feels horrible. To be included just because of that fact is better but it's not. It's still rejective. And I think the next step is, well, look at the people. Like, what does that girl bring to the table? What is she about? What is her story? What is all of the things that you would think with any other girl. So but I mean, personally, I feel lucky.
Yeah.
To be even standing here and in this time and place, but it's just got to become more normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like a thing. It should be normal.
Not a trend.
But I do feel now, though, that everyone sees everything. Like you were saying, you and your girlfriend see it all, and then you make a joke out of it. But like everyone is reading all of this, and we're not alone in our thoughts. And frankly, like no one is settling for anything less than full acceptance because it's unacceptable. Thus, like we can't continue this way. And so people are now fully like taking the stance that they need to take and being vocal and saying like, I saw that you didn't represent me or anyone different than your standard girl. So like, okay, I'll remember that. It's like everyone is got it clocked now, but it's just like, okay, so let's go.
I mean, that is a little bit of the untouched thing here in the industry is that obviously, there's a lot of the fashion industry that also isn't really asking other brands, other designers, why they're not doing it. They ask me, I get that asked every day, but I am doing it, so why are you asking me? Why don't you ask them? Like, I can't answer for why is Calvin Klein not doing similar to what I'm doing? I'm just saying it, for example, because I don't have the same budget as Calvin Klein, so I think that it would be a no-brainer for a brand that's large and massive and has campaigns all over the world, and it's a different thing for them. So
do we think it comes down to those people not being challenged? Like, is it about saying like, yo?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Because I do wonder that. Does it come to the point where we say,
that's what I mean.
Yo, I'm not.
Somebody has to challenge them because it isn't enough that it's just okay. So where are the people that are being like, where are those editors? Where are those other people being like, hey, just FYI, you really didn't have much going on this season. The clothes were beautiful, but like, what about something else? Like, so I think that's an interesting.
I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that you've got the shareholders and you've got Wall Street and you've got to business. Fashion has to make money, and there's a worship of money. And I think I get that it's a business, but it's also a really, really creative world, and it's not all about money. You know what I mean? Like, you do have a purpose in society, in culture, to put something progressive out there, to challenge social norms. And I think that a lot of people forget that responsibility.
Well, if you are talking about money, we're talking about a check.
Let's talk about
the
it.
average size woman in America is a size 14.
70%, in fact, are above a size 14.
Right.
So it's 70% more revenue that would come in.
The plus size industry is $1 billion.
Come on, man.
Don't trail off. Don't trail off.
Ooh, I could grow my business by 70%.
The plus size community is like the retail industry is $1 billion industry. Billion.
Billions.
Like, I understand that people have their creative control and, they think whatever may be chic and what may not be, what's in, what's not, that's fear. And I feel like fashion is always supposed to reflect the next thing, creativity, like innovation, like inclusion. Like, it's supposed to make people, entice people to want to go outside of their realm because that's what is their innovation and their vision. So I get that. And I think that every designer should have their creative control, because I think that they are entitled to that. It's their talent, whatever. But if it's about money, why would you exclude this huge sector and not get that check?
But I think what Andrea said is very true, which is that it's also about, like she's talking about the corporates and the shares and
corporate structure.
And what everybody else wants to say is beautiful. I experienced that so much with colorism. Like, you know what I mean? Where people look at my work and look at my accolades and be like, girl, how come when you were the first Black Cinderella, you weren't on the cover of such and such, such and such? But I've seen somebody that has, no offense to their work, but they didn't achieve maybe something like that, but they were on the cover and they're like 20 shades lighter than me. But it really comes down to a lot of times what people want to say is beautiful or more. And I've dealt with that before the industry. You know what I mean? So it is a thing in the world that then transcends through art, media, and fashion.
Well, I know like when I go in a store, the first thing that is off the rack are the larger sizes. When I go to a makeup store, the first things that are gone are the darker colors. So it's like a demand for...
We're starving.
Right. And like...
We're hungry.
And
She's hungry, she's starved.
She needs a blouse
She
and a
needs a
lipstick,
meal.
people.
A gloss. Give her a gloss.
Thank you, Fenty Beauty. Thank you.
Ooh,
Thank
shout
you.
out.
Shout out. But it's just, it doesn't make any sense. So I understand the creative control, but it's like, okay, even if we are talking about creativity and like you only want beauty and what's chic, beauty, chic, like, why?
we
You know
have
what I mean?
beauty
Like,
and
not
chic
one
sitting
kind.
right
it's
here.
not,
Not
one kind, and it's not just at a 34-inch hip. And it's not just one shade of color. It's not one, type of skin, texture of hair, height, weight. And I just think it's really, 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 up to the people that are in control. Like, I get asked so many times, why do you think such and such designer doesn't do this or include this? And I'm like, why are you asking me? Why won't you ask the designer?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask the people that are in control of this, the casting directors, the editors? There's a whole world and a hierarchy that trickles down, like you were saying, that involves so many different people to see what you see on the runway or just the image. So I think it's just important for us to be aware of what's happening and like ask the right questions to the right people. We're speaking out. I'm here. Candice is here. We've been, you have to use your voice, but it's also, I think, the time to like be efficient in our work. Like, we've talked about it, we've made it a conversation, we've gotten attention. Now let's do the work. Like, and that's the reason why I'm just so appreciative to be like a part of Christian's show. Like, that was something that, definitely highlighted my career. And it wasn't like I felt ostracized, like I was a gimmick, like, oh, he has a plus girl in the show. You know what I mean? Like, we were treated as every other girl, and it was amazing. And the piece fit. It was like, it's
Key.
not,
Key.
right?
And
It's not rocket
Y'all
science.
look great right now, too.
And I'm wearing Christian. And it's fabulous. And like, so I just want it to be shown that we can be fashionable. We are beautiful. And that it's not us that we want to pump for these designers down the runway. We want to shoot for these photographers, but I think it's time to turn the questions in the mirror onto the people that really, really, really make those decisions.
Yeah.
And
Go
Christian
for it.
and Candice have some of the better walks in the show, just FYI.
Yeah.
If you haven't
They
seen
really
it.
do.
Yeah.
And they were both in gowns and didn't even falter once. And some of the
Right.
other girls, that did.
Well, thank you.
I love it.
I love you.
Candice, I want to talk to you a little bit about the luxury side of things, because you have been embraced by the luxury industry. Why do you think it's so important for a plus-size model to be embraced by by luxury brands in general? And then, what do you think it's done for women across the country to see you in these luxury ads?
Well, I just feel like the more proof, the more positive, basically. It's just the more validation for what I've always been saying. It's like basically sort of redefining all the negative connotation that's been placed around a curvy body. It's like, oh, she doesn't work out, she eats this, she doesn't like fashion, she doesn't want to spend money on fashion, she doesn't want to show any of her body. Like, there's all these bizarre sort of rules, myths that were created around like what my body does. And I think that anytime you can break out of that and prove to them in their face, look at me, look at how I wear this, look at how I wear this gown, look at how I'm happy and I have a great successful career and I'm, all the things, or look how I just ran this marathon. It's like anytime, I know that's taking it off of, it's snowballing it off of even just luxury, but it's any time that you can prove someone wrong, really, and it's vital to normalization, basically. It's like, please stop assuming who I am and what I want. And that doesn't just have to do with curves. That's for any kind of woman that's other than, I suppose.
That's just like women shopping. Like,
Yeah.
don't assume what they're interested in. That's a big, I think, challenge which is why retailers are struggling, which is why there's so much craziness in the industry, is because it's really hard to be like, you should buy this, you have to have this, if you're not embracing the customers.
Yeah.
And then that's why no one, thus, up until very recently, no one was getting it right, and they didn't know. They kept us at arm's distance because they're like, well, then that'll solve the problem, right? Then here we gave them clothes, but then we're like, excuse me, no, we actually would love to have like a real leather jacket or like a dress we can be proud to wear into an event, or it's so many just maddening assumptions. And eventually, and I think that's why I guess there's some tension that it might feel that we have while we're sitting here. It's like proving yourself gets exhausting after a while. I'm willing.
That's a headline.
Well, I'm I'm happy to put in the work because I have a platform to do it on, and I know that we are effective in making really, really positive change and making a great impact. But damn, Andrea, and the proof that you have to do to say, look at who I am as a person. I'm this beautiful woman. And then us with our curves. And then you have to fight for all, hey, look at me. I was the first Black Cinderella. I didn't even, I was like, what? I was just wowed, And it's like, why do I have to prove so much to just get a pat on the back or to get an outfit or to get recognized or for someone to realize that I'm not alone? She's not the only one. That actually there's a lot of women like this in the world, and they make up.
And I think that's what propels us forward. That's what really gives me any life to keep going, is that, you know what, it doesn't really, I do have to take the standpoint of, it doesn't matter if you ever see me, but you will see the ones coming under me. I will
be speaking until I have no more microphone in my hand.
No, seriously, I will make a way. If it's me coming out with the damn design and line and the beauty thing to make sure that you feel like you are seen and noticed. I mean, that's the stand we have to make. We have the passion. We're asking the questions. So it's about us getting in those positions and being able to set that new standard. I mean,
so anytime there's a setback, and taking it back to the very first question, anytime that you aren't moving forward the way that you expect things naturally will go because you're so damn hopeful, anytime that there isn't the forward motion, you're a bit like, I cannot believe it. I can't believe here's where we are, And
like Don said, you got to be the change you want to see.
But
you have got to be the change you want to see.
But that's what we're all here for.
Well, you know what? How you were saying, oh, we want a nice jacket. A lot of people don't know that a lot of these luxury brands actually will cut the piece for a different size. But you would never see them in the ads. So these women don't even go to the store. Yeah. A lot of people don't know you can. Yeah, it's like a little, it's on the low, or it's like some, I don't know even how to explain it, but it's weird. I did an experiment with my friend. She was like, I wish I could wear this piece that I saw. I was like, if you have the coins, I'm pretty sure they'll make it. And she was like, no. And we went into the store. I'm not going to name the store. We went in, and I, made an example. I was like, okay, just follow me. She was like, wait, what are you going to do? I was like, so, hey, I'm looking for something for my mom. Her birthday's coming up. She's a size 20. And the guy, 20. Oh, okay. And I was like, I love this piece right here. It's fabulous. I would just love it. How long will it take? Blah, blah, blah. He goes to the back. He comes back, and he says, we can have it in 3 to 4 weeks. And blah. My friend mouth dropped to the floor. And it just was an example of how much people are resisting even promoting diversity, even when they actually have it. They know they have those customers. And there are a lot of people that actually, get those things made. But why do we have to know the inside scoop when you have billboards, you have commercials, you have fashion shows? These are the platforms to actually show that this brand could represent this or represent that. And I just think it's really weird. And I think it's a question, again, going back to asking these designers, asking the publications, asking the editors, why aren't we asking the questions to the right people? Because, we'll buy it. If this high fashion designer came out right now, dropped it on their page and say, in 10 minutes, we're going to have 20 dresses in a size 10. It would sell out in less than 5 minutes. And so I'm trying to figure out where is the difference. And women like me, it can totally affect your confidence. How you were saying, am I, do you not think that I'm cute?
It's only natural if you're not seen. It's only natural.
Right. And it's at some point, even when you're the strongest person, I get so many messages on Instagram and all my social media, handles and stuff where people are saying that I inspire them, and it's always in the moment where I'm just so how you said, exhausted. It gets exhausting. And it's just to have one girl say that, you know what, because I saw you go down the runway with your boobs, your skin color, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna go for it. Or, I got out of that bad relationship. I, got a gym membership. Like, I have been, like, brought to tears on a daily basis. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna snap. I'm not gonna, like, be discouraged.
We will not stop.
We are not gonna
stop what we're
stop.
doing. It's just like, I can't believe we still, like...
It's really
It's just
about
like, wait, why is
it's
it
really
still
about
happening?
normalizing
Still
things
like,
that should
knock,
already
knock,
be normal.
hello. Yes.
Even down, like, I remember I woke up one day, but I just thought to myself, I'm not biracial, but I thought about the fact that we don't ever see biracial people displayed on television. You'll see somebody that you know is biracial, but they'll make both of the parents black.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? Like, Tia and Tamara, their parents had to be adopted on the show, and we didn't find out till the last season of the show that they were biracial. We all knew they were biracial, but you want to ignore the fact as if they don't exist.
Right.
Like, stuff like that shouldn't happen to me. I mean, it's on every scale of everything, even things that don't include us, where it's just like we have to be able to say, yo, this is not realistic. I remember the Cheerios commercial where they showed the kid with the biracial parents. It got
And they
pulled.
snapped.
Like, it's just, who's doing this? Who do we need to call?
Well, what about on This Is Us when the whole storyline about the curvy girl is about the curvy girl losing weight? Sorry.
Oh, no.
No, I think,
But
that's.
I was like, why is that our story all the time?
That's
Why
it.
is that our story? It makes
Oh my
everyone
gosh.
look like they don't want to be who they are. And so that's why nobody is implementing the change that we beg for, because they assume that we actually don't want to be all this difference. We don't want to be, we want to just be all the same. We want to look the same, right? It's like...
I know. Okay, I want to get
maddening.
Alencia
Sorry.
into this conversation.
Yes.
This, first of all, was amazing.
Sorry, guys, it's getting rowdy.
The passion is real. The passion is real. But Alencia, you see this passion, and Planned Parenthood has still decided to join forces with the fashion industry, frankly. Why did you guys feel it was important to team up?
Well, I think one, it's so interesting listening to this conversation because it sounds like the powers that be are it's becoming a minority in this country, right? But they are pushing out that this is diversity when this is actually America, right? And those same forces are the same challenges that Planned Parenthood faces, that ACLU, which you have a ribbon on, faces, that all of these issues face. And I think it was Meryl Streep at the Golden Globes talked about the responsibility that that artists and that entertainers, that creatives have in this moment to fill the gap when the people who are in power, quote unquote, to protect us aren't doing their job. And so it was so powerful for Tracy Reese, who just empowers women through the way that she just showcases every woman and makes them feel good about themselves. She came up with this idea with the CFDA and said, hey, we have to make a stand. We are fighting for this as well in the fashion community. You all are as well. And, your patients, it's interesting, the conversations around our patients and the people that we see at Planned Parenthood is that, they oftentimes don't have anywhere else to turn, whether it's because they don't have insurance, they're low income, they're in a rural area, but there's no conversation about aspiration, right? So our patients should be able to aspire to be here, right? Getting access to healthcare, access to reproductive healthcare where you're controlling your body, where you are saying who you want to be, should give you that extra step towards this opportunity. So I'm just grateful for Tracy and CFDA and so many, Christian, all of you for just standing in and filling in a gap and also taking a risk, right? Because you all did say this is a business, a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's time to take a risk. And I think we're at a place where if you're not taking a risk, if you are really not about people, you're really not about saving this country from what I can't even say my grandmother went through, right? Like, this is going back into the early 1900s, late 1800s, depending on what you look like. And so when fashion is stepping into that gap and setting the trends and supposed to be ahead, years ahead, it's a powerful collaboration, and we're just so grateful for it.
So what can we actually do? What are the actionable steps that everyone in this room can take to make sure that we continue with this conversation and turn it into a positive light and a positive discussion?
Well, I would say that, the biggest diversity problem that fashion faces is, and a lot of the creative world faces, is that, we kind of live in a bubble. And this is far away from how the majority of the population lives. It's like, go to Detroit, go to Flint, go to Philadelphia, like get outside of the bubble, because we have scary things happening. I mean, you have a semi-fascist in the White House, you have nationalism growing on both sides of the Atlantic, you have white supremacy returning with a vengeance, you have all of these, you know, that's the world we're living in, and it is, you know, you have the threat of nuclear war. I mean, it's crazy. And, you know, it is our responsibility to look at the world, not just the 1%, not the 10% of society, but look at the world and be inspired by it, you know, expose people's stories, expose the truth about what's happening. So,
and I love what you said about exposing stories. I think one of the most powerful things we've learned is that so many people, I bet if I asked everybody to raise your hand if you have a Planned Parenthood story or a connection, it'd be probably over half the room, right? It's also sharing your story. It's also agitating and being disruptive in that space. I'm in this progressive world, and I'm the daughter of a pastor who supports abortion rights. And that is so disruptive, right? And I talk to people about that. It's being your full self in a place where, you know what, I might be alone, but next time I come into this room, I'm gonna bring someone else, because I can't sit here and advocate for the physically disabled community. I can't advocate for the trans community, but I can bring someone with me, right? I can do as much as I can until I bring them to the table. And I think that's the most important piece, wherever you are. Bring other people to the table. Stop standing for people and stand with people, right? And also—
Wait, say it again?
Stop standing for people and stand with people.
Just want to make sure everyone caught that, because that was good. That was good.
So I mean, it makes no sense for me as an able-bodied cisgender woman to sit here and talk about an experience that I actually don't know everything about, right? Bring other people to the table. And then the other piece for creatives in the room, you all have such a responsibility right now, especially, I had this conversation with a woman at a beauty company, and I said, beauty and fashion, your market are women, people of color, queer and trans folks. You should be on the forefront of the issues that are literally killing us. And it may be controversial to say certain organizations or whatever it is, but it actually shouldn't be, because these are your people. And so it's our time to all disrupt wherever we are.
Yeah. In my mind, it's like, don't let people victimize you. I think, you know, as a Black girl and in my industry and my career, I'm always feeling like somebody's trying to make me feel like I should feel bad about not being accepted or to be invited. And it's like, I don't want to be invited. To be real with you, I don't really care, because at the end of the day, I know my power and my ability. I know I can create my own stuff. I can put my own thing out there and represent me and the other people like me and my friends and the things that I want to see. So really, it's about, at the end of the day, I know it's very cliche, but it really empowers you to be the change you want to see. And I know you know that, because you're doing that. And when you put yourself on that front line, whether it's creating your own work, whether it's designing your own stuff, or whatever it is, it really does stop you from feeling like, hey, look at me. It's like, actually, I don't care if you look at me, because I'm looking at me. Ooh. I'm caring about me and what I'm showing.
But don't you also think that it's so interesting that, because, like what Andrea said, there's so much going on in our world, it's like almost comical that, like, shouldn't getting a dress and buying makeup be the fun part of the day?
Right.
Like, that should be the easy part.
That shouldn't be.
That should be easy, fun, fabulous. That should be the best part of your day. Going to find a dress and not being able to find it, that shouldn't be the challenge of the day. Mm-hmm. Like, that just can't be. So that's the goal. I think as a designer, that's what we're trying to do. Hopefully others get on board.
I mean, I feel like this is the time, like how you were saying, we're living in like crazy times. This is the opportunity for everybody in the creative industry to uplift. Like, everybody has something that they can do to include someone that is not, for feel-good vibes. Like, this season could have been like way more inclusive.
But about
or on the
vibes,
runway,
though, like, I'm not just gonna say this because you're standing here, but like, did anyone see Christian's show?
Did you guys see the show?
Was anyone there in the room or
So
felt
good.
it? Like, I honestly have never had an experience. And look, we know I haven't even walked that many shows before, but I've just never had an experience in this industry, period, where I felt so much good energy in one place by a lot of different kind of people. Like, everyone was screaming and hugging and like
Laughing.
It was
laughing
fun.
and the
it was
smiles.
what you would imagine
Swooning.
a fashion show to be.
Because
like
you saw life.
Right.
You saw yourself somewhere in that room at some point in time in any way, shape, or form, and that just feels good.
yeah, it does, and it
That's
feels
what fashion
good.
should be. It's supposed to transform you to a different place. You're supposed to feel great when you walk out the door. If you're going to work, if you're going to an event, wherever you're going, that's the whole point of clothes. They're to transform. They're not to. It's not. It shouldn't be. Yeah, I just think that that's the strangest thing. You should feel good in it. One reviewer did say, they pointed out, we will be chatting, that they thought that some of the clothes on the curvier girls could have fit better, and I was like, well, what do you mean by fit better? What does that mean to you? Why didn't they fit? And I think that was a very annoying review because, why? What's the reason?
What's that?
What's
What are
the
you
reason?
saying?
Was she too busty? Was the slit too high for you? What's your reason? So I'd love to know. So we'll chat.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Find out.
Because
love
I
to
just
know.
think it was so annoying. Because after, fine, clothes are subjective. If you don't like them, I understand it. But fit on shape, I think that's a really weird thing to pick on.
I mean, they
Because-
haven't seen it, so they're looking at it
I know.
Something must be wrong.
So,
Trust
she
me.
has boobs.
Oh, she's got
And-
boobs. Oh my God, they're
where
in
are
a
they
gown.
supposed to go? In this dress. And that's where they are. And I feel like it's shocking people. People are oh, people ask me what is that you're wearing? And I say a designer. They're like, really? I'm like,
No, I'm lying.
girl, if you don't get out my face. Because it's just, but it's empowering for me kind of because I love gagging people and making, people are like, ooh, oh my gosh, so chic. And it just propels me to, you know what? I'm gonna go
Shock 'em and then change
shock
their
them.
mind.
I'm gonna go buy some because it's
go
just
shock 'em.
because it really gives people even maybe somebody wouldn't wear a mesh shirt, you know.
When I walked in the room, you know what I said, girl. My mouth dropped to the ground. I said, who
Right.
is she?
Yeah.
Who is she?
And you know what? And it's not about even trying to be there. It's about actually feeling good and wearing what you want to wear and not having somebody tell you and dictate what you should wear because these people are not you don't see these curvy women on a regular basis. So you don't know what you think a curvy girl should look like in a dress. So because you see my boobs
Right.
or you may see a thigh out, you don't think that thigh should be out because it's not the smaller thigh that you're used to seeing. Yeah. It's just we have such a responsibility to reveal so much of what is already there. It's not like we're just creating something it's some masterpiece and this magician thing. We are the people that are buying this stuff. We are the people of this country and we are chic and we are fashion forward and we want to wear this stuff. And I just think it's super important for it to be displayed and not, we have to see it to know what it even looks like because people just don't know because it's not being shown on a large platform as often as the counterparts.
Precious said she wouldn't give me my pants back. She goes, are these for me?
These are my
I don't know. You said I didn't know if I was supposed to give them back. I guess
Let's
I gotta
talk
give
about responsibility, actually. That's a word that a lot of people have been saying this evening. Andrea, what do you think your responsibility is to future transgender models and to continuing on this conversation?
Well, I kind of want to be the only one, so I'm kidding. No. There's some of my favorite girls that are coming up: Gemma Cowling, Terrain Futurum, Dara, Valentina Sampaio, Harinaf. There's a lot of great girls. There's a lot of talent, and they don't get. It's hard to get your foot in the door. I don't know if I see myself as so much of an activist as just a person that wanted to share their story and be really, really truthful about what I was going through and just be honest and even at the expense of being chic, It's that's a funny concept in this industry, but sometimes you can't always be chic, you know what I mean, to tell the truth. So, it's, I feel very lucky to be standing here, to, have gotten the amazing opportunities that I've gotten. But, it's not at a point where we have equal respect and equal opportunity. And I think things have, people are starting to think of us now as human beings, which is like progress, us, I guess. But, it can be taken to a new level for sure.
Precious, I really want to ask you this question. As a Black plus-size model, do you ever feel torn about which fight to fight, how many fights to fight, when to fight, which fight?
No.
No.
My issues, well, I'm not even gonna say issues. I am in this industry being curvy and then being Black, being brown, like Black.
Undeniably Black.
Black. It's just like, I'm such a I grew up in Atlanta. I went to a school in the AUC. I went to Clark Atlanta University, and
shout out to
right?
Clark. Oh,
and I've just grew up in this culture of like celebrating like Black. It never seemed as if I needed to, feel inferior or feel like it is something to fight for. It's not a war. It's me, and when I accept myself, and I've been around a community that accepted themselves, that were like me, and I know that I'm privileged for having that experience, and I just really wish that that my voice and the things that I'm doing, even though people don't necessarily have that experience, I can give them an insight to my experience and give them a piece of my strength, because I feel, even though, like I said, I get exhausted, I'm never going to stop. Mm-hmm. And I'm just propelled by the challenge of opening people's minds and showing through my work. And at first, my goal was to be an attorney. I wanted to be a sports and entertainment attorney. And I ended up becoming a model. But my main goal was advocacy. I always wanted to be an advocate since I was a child. I knew that I wanted to be an advocate. So for me to have this platform as a model and to represent diversity in size, in race, in, the way that I am is something that you don't see girls like me in fashion. And at the level and the jobs that I do. And I take that as, with pride, and I take that responsibility serious. And I try to do that and reflect it in every single thing that I do and how I project myself. And I feel like if I can show where we can go and do the groundwork and do the grassroots work, that the next girl won't necessarily have to have that conversation and the same struggle I did, because I've done most of it for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa.
We got deep.
Well, guys,
we got work to do.
We have work to do, but I just want to say thank you all so much for coming out. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you to the panelists and to everyone who's joined us. And thank you to our audience on Elle.com and to YouTube for tuning in. Again, please subscribe to Elle Magazine on YouTube for more great content. And of course, thank you to YouTube for letting us have this discussion here and for partnering with us in your New York space. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Elle Magazine.